Hey, welcome back to the English Podcast Lab. I'm Mike, and today we're going to be doing a deep dive into something that I'm really excited about.
Yeah.
Using movies to learn English.
I'm Sarah, happy to be here. And yeah, we're going to be exploring how movies can be more than just entertainment.
Right.
They can actually be a secret weapon for mastering English.
I've always felt like movies helped me kind of pick up new phrases.
For sure.
And even just like get a better feel for how English is actually spoken. You know, it's like learning without even realizing it.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so effective, is that you're exposed to authentic English the way native speakers actually use it.
Yeah.
You'll encounter slang, idioms, and even those tricky regional accents.
So much better than like, those textbook dialogues that are just so stilted.
Totally.
You're hearing English in action.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes it stick.
Yeah.
But how do we turn movie night into an actual learning experience?
That's the key, right? It's about being more strategic with how you watch. One thing you can do is pay close attention to the context of each scene.
Okay.
Why did that character use that specific phrase? What emotions were they conveying? It's like detective work for language.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
So it's not just about passively watching. We're going to be giving you some tips on how to actually actively engage with the movies that you're watching. So we'll talk about things like using subtitles strategically, choosing movies that are right for your level, and even taking notes on those new cool expressions that you come across.
And don't worry, we won't just leave you hanging with a bunch of theory.
Yeah.
We've got some specific movie recommendations for you, whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or an advanced learner.
Nice.
Yeah, from animated classics to like edge-of-your-seat thrillers, we've got you covered.
Now, speaking of levels, you might be surprised to know that there are movies out there that are perfect for learning English, no matter where you are on your journey.
Absolutely. And sometimes watching a movie that you already love in English can be even more rewarding because you already know the plot, so you can really focus on the language and notice those subtle details that you might have missed before.
It's like rediscovering a treasure.
Yeah.
You get to experience it in a whole new way. And it's not just about the words themselves.
Right.
Movies can be a window into the culture of English-speaking countries.
Yeah, for sure.
You start to pick up on the humor, the social cues, even how body language plays a role in communication.
Exactly. It's like a mini cultural immersion right from your living room.
Yeah.
And let's not forget about pronunciation.
Oh, yeah.
Hearing actors speak naturally can really help you fine-tune your accent and start to sound more like a native speaker.
We actually came across a really inspiring story about someone who actually learned English primarily through watching movies.
Yes, this person's story is incredible.
Yeah.
They shared some fantastic tips,
Yeah.
like repeating your favorite lines out loud, writing movie reviews in English.
Wow.
And even finding English-speaking friends through their shared love of film.
It just shows you the power of passion.
It does.
When you genuinely enjoy something, the learning just becomes so much easier.
It does.
But how can you personalize this approach?
Yeah.
That's what we're going to help you figure out. Think about, what are your favorite movie genres?
Yeah.
Are there any actors whose accent you just absolutely love?
Yeah.
We can use those passions as a starting point for your English learning adventure. So we've talked about why movies are such an awesome tool for learning English.
Okay.
Now let's get into the nitty-gritty of how to actually use them effectively.
Let's do it.
One of the first things we need to address is the use of subtitles.
Okay.
They can be super helpful, but it's important to use them strategically.
Yeah.
You don't want to become so reliant on subtitles that you're not actually listening to the spoken language.
You're so right.
It's like having training wheels.
Yeah.
Eventually, you want to be able to ride without them.
Exactly. For beginners, starting with subtitles in your native language can be a great way to get a grasp of the plot and the general meaning. Then you can challenge yourself by switching to English subtitles.
Okay.
Yeah.
This way, you're connecting the written word with the spoken word.
Right.
Which is awesome for building vocabulary and getting familiar with sentence structure.
For sure.
But the real magic happens when you start watching without subtitles altogether.
Yes.
I know it can be a little bit intimidating at first.
A little bit, yeah.
But it's the ultimate workout for your listening skills.
It is.
The more you do it, the stronger your comprehension becomes.
Yeah.
And remember, you don't have to understand every single word to follow the story.
That's such an important point.
Yeah.
It's about getting the main idea and using the context to kind of fill in the gaps.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to pause and rewind.
Yeah.
Especially if there's like a particular phrase or pronunciation that you want to get just right. Repetition is key in language learning.
Absolutely.
Oh, and here's a fun tip I've used. Try repeating lines along with the actors.
Oh, yeah.
Mimicking their intonation and pronunciation.
Yeah.
It's like a mini acting class.
It is.
That also helps your speaking skills.
Love that. And as you get more comfortable, you can even try shadowing.
Wait, hold on. What's shadowing?
So it's basically speaking along with the actors in real time, like you're their shadow. It's a great way to work on your fluency and pronunciation.
Okay.
Think of it like a vocal workout.
Okay. I'm definitely going to try that.
Yes.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about active viewing techniques. Now let's get to the heart of it.
Yeah.
What are some specific movies that we would recommend for English learners at different levels?
Let's start with beginners. Animated movies are fantastic for this level. The language is often clear and simple.
Right.
And the visuals provide a ton of context clues.
Plus, they're just plain fun.
They are.
Some of our top picks for beginners would include classics like Toy Story, The Incredibles, and Finding Nemo. They're enjoyable for all ages, really.
Yes, they are. As you move into the intermediate level,
Okay.
you can start exploring a wider range of genres. Look for movies with clear dialogue and engaging storylines.
Okay, some great options that come to mind are the Harry Potter series,
Oh, yeah.
Forrest Gump, and The Social Network.
Good ones.
They offer a great mix of everyday language slang and cultural references.
And for advanced learners, the sky's the limit.
Nice.
You can tackle movies with more complex themes, fast-paced dialogue, and even regional accents.
So think The Godfather,
Yes.
Pulp Fiction, or even British period dramas like Downton Abbey.
Yes.
These films will really push your listening skills and vocabulary to the next level.
They will.
Yeah.
And remember, don't underestimate the power of rewatching your favorite movies in English. You might be surprised by how much you pick up on a second or third viewing.
It's true. When you already know the plot,
Yeah.
you can really zero in on the language itself
Yeah.
and appreciate all the nuances of the dialogue.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to experiment with different genres and accents.
Yeah.
The more diverse your movie choices, the more well-rounded your English skills will become.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive.
We have.
We've talked about the benefits of using movies to learn English, how to choose the right movies,
Right.
and some techniques to make your viewing more active and effective.
Yeah,
But that's just the tip of the iceberg.
it is.
There's so much more to explore. In the next part, we'll delve deeper into those active listening techniques and share more tips on how to make the most of your movie nights for language learning. We'll also talk about how movies can give you incredible insights into English-speaking cultures.
I'm excited.
Me too.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be fun.
Yeah, me too.
All right, we'll see you in the next part.
Sounds good. Welcome back. Last time we were talking about how watching movies can be like a surprisingly effective way to learn English. We touched on a few key strategies, but now let's dive a little bit deeper into how to really turn movie night into like a language learning powerhouse.
Yeah. Okay, I'm all ears, Aaron. I think one thing that trips people up is just the sheer number of words and phrases in a movie.
Yeah.
Where do you even start?
That's a great point. It can feel overwhelming, right? One technique I find helpful is to kind of break your viewing into smaller chunks.
Okay.
Don't try to conquer a whole film in one go,
Right.
especially if you're just starting out.
So instead of like a movie marathon, it's more like a series of sprints.
Exactly. Set a realistic goal. Maybe watch one scene or a 20-minute episode per day.
Okay.
The key is to really focus on understanding that segment. Quality over quantity.
Right.
Like thoroughly analyzing a short clip is way more beneficial than passively watching a whole film and not absorbing much.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's like anything else. You wouldn't try to learn a new skill by cramming it all at once. You got to break it down into manageable steps.
Absolutely. And while you're watching,
Yeah.
pay close attention to the rhythm and intonation of the actor's speech. English is a stress-timed language,
Okay.
meaning certain syllables are emphasized more than others.
Try clapping along to the rhythm of the dialogue or tapping your foot to the beat. This helps you internalize like the natural flow of English speech.
I never thought of it that way. It's like finding the music within the language.
Exactly.
And speaking of music,
Yeah,
movies often have amazing soundtracks.
they do. And those songs can be another great tool for learning.
Oh, for sure.
Pay attention to the lyrics, sing along, and try to mimic the singer's pronunciation. It's a fun way to improve your fluency and intonation.
Okay, I'm getting some serious ideas for my next movie night. But what about those times when the dialogue is just too fast or there's like a really strong accent?
Don't worry, we've got you covered. Don't hesitate to use your media player to slow down the audio if needed. This can be really helpful.
Yeah.
Especially when you're encountering fast-paced dialogue or unfamiliar accents.
Right.
It allows you to hear each word clearly and grasp the pronunciation.
That's a great tip. I remember struggling with a British film once.
Yeah.
And just slowing it down made a world of difference. It does. And speaking of tools, let's not forget about note-taking.
Yes.
It can be super valuable, but don't let it interrupt your enjoyment.
Okay.
One approach is to jot down new words or phrases as you watch and then look them up later.
Or you could pause after a scene
Yeah.
and make notes on what you understood, what was challenging.
Yeah.
Any cool vocabulary you came across. This helps you process the information actively and identify areas where you need more practice.
Love that. And remember, your notes don't have to be just words. You can sketch out scenes,
Oh, wow.
diagram relationships between characters, or even write your own summaries of the plot in English.
It's all about finding what works best for you. And hey, watching movies doesn't have to be a solo activity.
Right.
You know, you can turn it into a social experience that boosts your speaking skills.
Totally. Find an English-speaking movie buddy,
Okay.
someone you can watch with and discuss the film afterward. It's a fun, low-pressure way to practice speaking and get different perspectives.
And if you don't have a buddy nearby, there are tons of online communities and forums dedicated to movies.
There are.
So share reviews, participate in discussions,
Yeah.
connect with native English speakers who share your love of film.
There are even language exchange partners and conversation groups specifically for movie enthusiasts.
Oh, wow.
You can watch movies together, practice your English, and learn from each other's cultural insights.
Now let's talk about vocabulary. Movies can be a gold mine for expanding your word bank, right?
Absolutely. One effective strategy is to create flashcards for new words or phrases you encounter.
Oh, yeah.
Write the word or phrase on one side and the definition and an example sentence on the other. You can use physical flashcards or digital flashcard apps.
I love flashcards. It's a great way to make the new words stick. But sometimes it's not just about individual words. What about those tricky English idioms?
Ah, yes, idioms, those phrases that have a figurative meaning that's different from the literal meaning of the individual words. They can be confusing, but movies are a fantastic way to learn them in context.
Okay, give us an example.
Okay, imagine a scene where a character says, "Let's spill the tea."
Okay.
Pay attention to the situation. Are they gossiping, sharing secrets? That helps you understand the idiom's meaning, which is to reveal juicy or gossipy information.
Ah, so it's like detective work again.
Yes,
You're using the clues in the movie to crack the code of the idiom.
precisely. Then you can look it up in a dictionary or online to confirm your understanding.
Right.
And for extra practice, try creating your own dialogues or short skits using the idioms you've learned.
That sounds fun. It's like taking those new phrases for a test drive.
Exactly. Now let's shift gears and talk about something we both find fascinating.
Sure.
How movies can help you with cultural insights and pronunciation.
Yes, this is where it gets really interesting. It's like getting a crash course in a new culture without ever leaving your couch.
Right, movies are like mini cultural immersions.
Yeah.
You're not just learning the language, you're getting a glimpse into the customs, values, and humor of English-speaking cultures.
For example, a British comedy might introduce you to dry wit and sarcasm, while an American sitcom might showcase the importance of friendships and family relationships.
Pay attention to how characters interact their body language, even the slang they use. These are all valuable clues to understanding the culture behind the language.
And speaking of clues,
Yeah,
movies are a gold mine for improving your pronunciation.
for sure.
You know, you're hearing native speakers pronounce words and phrases naturally,
Right.
which can help you develop a more authentic accent.
Try to mimic the actor's intonation, stress, and rhythm.
Yeah.
It might feel a little silly at first,
Right.
but it's a powerful way to train your mouth to produce those sounds correctly.
And remember, different regions have different accents.
They do.
So if you're interested in a particular English-speaking country, try watching movies from that region to kind of get a feel for their unique way of speaking.
Now, let's circle back to that inspiring story we mentioned earlier about someone who actually learned English primarily through movies.
Oh yes, this individual who grew up in Morocco had a deep passion for American culture and cinema.
Yeah.
They were basically watching like 3 to 4 movies a day.
It's amazing. And after a few years of this intense immersion, they were able to speak English fluently.
It just goes to show you the power of passion and consistent effort.
It does. Their story highlights a few key takeaways.
Okay.
First, the importance of finding movies that truly resonate with you.
Yeah.
Don't force yourself to watch genres you dislike.
Right. Learning should be enjoyable.
Exactly.
Choose movies that you're actually interested in, and the learning will just happen naturally.
Absolutely. They also emphasize the importance of repetition. They watch some of their favorite movies multiple times, which helps solidify their understanding of the language.
It's like listening to your favorite song over and over
Yeah.
again. Eventually, you just know all the lyrics by heart.
Exactly. And finally, they stress the importance of actively using the new language they were learning.
Okay.
They wrote movie reviews in English, joined online film forums,
Wow.
and even made English-speaking friends through their love of movies.
So they weren't just passively absorbing information, they were putting it into practice, which is crucial for fluency.
It is. Their story is a fantastic reminder that learning English through movies is more than just a technique.
Yeah.
It's a way to embrace a passion, explore new worlds, and connect with people from different cultures. It's about turning your love of movies into a powerful tool for personal growth and language mastery.
We've covered so much ground already.
We have.
We've talked about active listening, pronunciation,
Yeah.
cultural insights,
Yeah.
and even real-life examples of people who have mastered English through film.
Right.
But there's still so much more to discover.
There is. In the next part of our deep dive, we'll share more practical tips and strategies, as well as some recommendations for movies that are particularly helpful for language learning at different levels. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to the English Podcast Lab. We've been having a blast exploring how movies can be an awesome tool for learning English.
It has been a fascinating conversation.
Right, but before we wrap up, I want to give our listeners some even more practical advice. What are some specific tips for choosing movies that are especially beneficial for language learners?
That's a great question. One important thing to keep in mind is to look for movies that have clear and natural dialogue.
Okay.
You want to steer clear of films that are overly technical or use a lot of slang or jargon.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
You want to be focusing on learning everyday language that you can actually use in conversations.
Exactly. Another tip is to choose movies with a variety of characters and settings.
Okay.
This will expose you to a wider range of vocabulary and accents, which will help you develop a more well-rounded understanding of the language.
I imagine pronunciation is a big one for a lot of learners.
It definitely is. If you're looking to improve your pronunciation, try to find movies that feature actors who speak clearly and articulate their words well.
Got it. So clear dialogue, diverse characters, and good pronunciation are key factors to look for.
Right.
Now, are there any specific genres that you would recommend for English learners?
Absolutely. Romantic comedies are a great choice for learning conversational English and picking up idioms and expressions related to relationships.
That's a good one. I've always loved romantic comedies. Any recommendations?
Some classics include When Harry Met Sally, Sleepless in Seattle, and Love Actually. They're not only entertaining, but they also offer a glimpse into everyday conversations and cultural norms.
Those are all great movies. I'm adding those to my watch list right now.
Do it.
What about other genres?
Dramas are another excellent choice. They often deal with a wide range of themes and emotions, which
Yeah.
can help you expand your emotional vocabulary.
Okay.
They also often feature characters from diverse backgrounds,
Yeah.
so you get exposure to different ways of speaking.
Any drama recommendations?
Some of my favorites are The Shawshank Redemption, Forrest Gump, and The Blind Side. They're all powerful stories with compelling characters and memorable dialogue.
Awesome, I'll check those out. Now, I bet animated movies are perfect for beginners.
You are absolutely right. Animated movies are fantastic for language learners of all levels.
Yeah.
But they're especially good for beginners.
Right.
The dialogue is typically clear and easy to follow, and the visuals provide a lot of context clues.
Plus, they're just plain fun.
Yeah.
Which animated films do you recommend?
There's so many great ones.
I know, right?
Some of my all-time favorites include Toy Story, Finding Nemo, and Frozen.
I love those movies.
They're classics for a reason.
Yeah.
They're engaging stories with memorable characters and catchy songs.
Okay, so we've got romantic comedies, dramas, and animated films.
Yeah.
What about something a little more educational?
Documentaries are a fantastic way to learn about a specific topic while also improving your English.
Oh, yeah?
Choose documentaries that cover subjects that you're genuinely interested in, whether it's nature, history, science, or culture.
Documentaries can be so captivating.
They are.
I find myself learning so much without even realizing it. Now, before we forget, we have to talk about TV series.
Ah, yes. TV series are another fantastic resource for language learners.
Okay.
They offer a more immersive experience than movies
Right.
because you get to follow the characters and storylines over multiple episodes or even seasons.
Which TV series would you recommend?
Some popular choices that are great for English learners include Friends, Game of Thrones, and The Crown. They all have unique characters, engaging storylines, and a wide range of vocabulary.
I can definitely see how TV series can be a great way to improve your English. You just get so invested in the characters in their world.
Exactly. It's almost like living in an English-speaking environment, even if you're just watching from your couch.
So we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
We talked about the benefits of using movies and TV shows to learn English, how to choose the right ones, active viewing techniques, and even specific genre recommendations. What a journey it's been.
It really has. And I hope our listeners are feeling inspired to turn their next movie night into a language learning adventure.
Me too. I hope so too. So as we wrap up, do you have any final words of encouragement for our listeners?
You know, learning a new language can be challenging, but it's also incredibly rewarding.
Yeah.
And when you incorporate movies and TV series into your learning journey, it becomes such a fun and engaging experience.
Right.
So embrace the power of storytelling. Make language learning a part of your entertainment routine, and most importantly, enjoy the journey.
Beautifully said. Remember, every movie you watch, every line, you repeat every new word you learn, it all adds up. You're on your way to fluency one movie at a time.
Thanks for joining us
on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure. Happy watching, everyone.